What's up, YouTube? We've got a deck tech on Garrison's Niv Mizzet Reborn deck, and Brett and him are going to go over the deck list because I don't feel like doing it tonight.
Fair enough, I guess.
All right, Garrison. How about we start with what are you trying to do? Because this is a lot of stuff.
It is a lot of random stuff. Basically, get to 5, one of every color, cast Niv Mizzet, get a bunch of other cards.
Chromatic Lantern.
Yeah, so I guess the base really is there's a lot of random lands, some one-ofs, and then of course some two-ofs, and then had to fix a little bit. So Gateway Plaza, you're not really doing anything on 2. I think there's only actually like a couple of cards you can cast on 2 anyway. So the Gateway Plaza was pretty easy. But the point is, turn 3 Chromatic Lantern. So then you can turn 4 cast Niv Mizzet Reborn, which doesn't actually happen like that because, perfect things.
Yeah,
and stuff.
you don't really get to 5 color different mana.
Oh, you don't need,
unless you have Chromatic Lantern.
unless you have Chromatic Lantern, right.
Also, do you just feel bad that you're playing this card in a standard constructed deck? The fact that you need this to make this deck work, shouldn't that be like, hey, maybe I should rethink my choices?
A little bit. It's not, Firmine Vessel is not the greatest. But I did have a game tonight where I didn't have Lantern. So having the Firemine Vessel to add 2 different colors of mana was actually very relevant.
Yeah. I don't think it's a bad inclusion. I'm just saying,
it does make me rethink my life.
Maybe
not
I
really.
don't play a 5 color deck where I have to play a 4 mana double mana rock.
Yeah. So I guess it's not hard. It's okay. The odd part about this is that you have to play a lot of cards that play to guilds, I guess. So
yeah.
Go over. I guess start over on this side
go
here.
Through every guild.
So this is actually the sideboard. There's just a lot of one-ofs, so it was very hard to do this. So I guess we'll start down here with the creatures. This is supposed to be 4 Niv Mizzet Reborn.
Organize them by guild.
Matt didn't bring me the 4th one tonight, so I ended up playing the 3 blue, 3 red Niv in its place.
So you played the 5 color Niv Mizzet Reborn deck with 3 Niv Mizzet. Okay.
Yeah.
Notice he blamed me on that one.
Yeah, it's all his fault. So obviously just the namesake of the deck, so playing 4 of that. One Night of Autumn being the fact that it's Celestial colors, and then it actually has quite a bit of text, so it's relevant in quite a few matchups. Gain 4 life, obviously, against aggro.
Is it exactly the guild?
Yeah, it has to be exactly the
blue
guild.
Black, so you couldn't get a 3 color.
No. So the way Niv Mizzet reads is that when it enters the battlefield, reveal the top 10 cards of your library. For each color pair, choose a card that's exactly those colors from among them, and then you put them into your hand. You don't draw. So
it gets around the new Narset.
It gets around the new Narset, which is kind of nice. If you do end up having to use that to try to find things, Niv does die, though, because generally anything playing Narset's just going to kill it. Yeah, or deal with bounce it back or counter it. So, but then to pair with that, the only other creature in the main board is the 2 of Hydra Crisis, because Hydra Crisis is amazing.
Okay. Because reason?
Yeah, because reasons. Crisis is really good.
It's great. It's good. It's uncounterable card draw. So
yeah, and we are ramping, so it's not uncommon to have a 6/6 Crisis. So pretty
life
easily.
Gain isn't insane necessarily.
No,
so it's a nice little.
Yeah, so you only really have a couple of life gain sources.
Yeah, you got the 4.
Yep, and then you're gaining some from here. You can use Deafening Clarion's ability.
Kai's Wrath technically could.
Yeah, never use that to be able to do that.
Kaya.
There's an Oath of Kaya to be able to do that too, and then Enter the God Eternals. So
MVP card right there.
Yeah, Enter the God Eternals is pretty good. I think I cast it once tonight, and that was about it. I always, when I flipped them, always ended up hitting Thought Erasure and Enter the God Eternals, and always wanted the Thought Erasure over the 2. Cool. So yeah, a lot of, I guess it's 2 of Thought Erasure. This is just a good card. If you get it early in the game, you can kind of pick out the one piece that interacts with your deck.
Why not 4 of that card specifically?
It's just the fact that when you flip cards with Niv, you want to flip a lot of the random cards are there, so you have better chance.
So you're just trying to
flipping.
maximize your card draw from your 5-drop.
Yeah. So 5
limiting
mana.
your interaction in the early turns.
Yeah, 5 mana draw
Okay.
5 or 5 mana draw 6 with Tome is actually pretty good. Did that a couple of times tonight. So, and then the interaction, like being cheap with some Teferis, so playing like the one Angrass Rampage, one Warrant Warden. The Warrant comes up, I think it came up against Burn tonight.
Okay.
So, never cast the Warden half of it, but being able to make Sphinx with Vigilance is pretty good, especially if it's on their turn with a Teferi. So, one Justice Strike, one D-Spark, one Oath of Kaya, and one Casualties of War.
That's like destroy one of everything, right?
Yeah, the Casualties of War is pretty good. I only cast it once tonight, I believe, and I only got to destroy 2 things. Or 3 things, sorry. A Planeswalker, a creature, and a land. So it's pretty good. Like, I really like the card. I almost think that maybe 2 Casualties of War would be better because more often than not, I wanted to flip it with a Niv.
Okay.
And then board wipes is really 1 Time Wipe, 1 Kaya's Wrath, and 1 Deafening Clarion.
3 different guilds, does that give you a board wipe?
Yeah, so being able, odds are pretty good that you're going to hit one of them with the Niv. So, and then 1 Enter the God Eternals, 1 Ral's Outburst, and 1 Mortify. I'm not 100% sold on the Outburst.
Okay.
It is a guild. It deals 3 damage, but it's actually included, I guess, more or less just the card selection. So,
What about like Expansion Explosion instead?
you could. The problem is it's also a very mana-intensive card.
Well,
You're kind of stopping
it
at
has
6-7. Seems to
Uses
be
in the early game though too is kind of what I'm thinking.
Yeah, it could be an inclusion.
It's like an extra thought eraser sometimes.
Very well could be, yeah. Yeah. And then playing some one-of Planeswalkers just because they all, like, they have a very good either endgame or they interact with Niv very well.
Okay.
So I'll get to this guy in a minute here, but 1 Vraska, Golgari Queen, and 1 Ral. So being able to select what you've got, and then when you're ditching stuff later, I mean, just being able to pick off the creatures. I killed a Thief with the Ral because I had no other answer. So
Yeah, you gotta kill him.
yeah, and then when you do cast the Niv, being able to pick the Planeswalkers is pretty good. So it's very hard to play monocolored right now.
Sure.
The 2 Tameo and 2 Teferi. Tameo almost always names Niv Mizzet Reborn, or if you don't have it, they're Chromatic Lantern.
Okay.
I believe they're the only 4 ofs in the main deck, so your chances are a lot higher to be able to hit them. And you can't hit the Lantern off of the Niv, so if you don't have one already, the disc could become kind of awkward. Being able to, one turn, mill something over, finding, oh, you actually do need that, and buying it back to be able to play it's pretty good. So, and Teferi allows you to do your thing on your turn without interaction from your opponent. So I would like to play 3.
Okay.
But I think it's a little awkward. You want 1, but you never want the second one. So, and then 1 Jace, Wielder of Mysteries, which I know I was just getting a bunch of slack for it because it is a triple blue card.
Spell in your 5-color deck. I mean, it's a little shady.
Yeah.
Go on.
It is, but the fact that Tameo puts them into your graveyard, and then Jace puts those there too, so you can Jace and then Tameo back whatever you need, and it does give you another win condition outside of Beating Face or like an emblem here too. So, and then let's face it, draw 7 cards is just really good. So
really, the main reason for the inclusion is that when you draw 10 off of Niv Mizzet, you can mill yourself.
no, they go to the bottom.
Oh, they go to the bottom?
Yeah, they go to the bottom in a
never
random
mind
order.
then.
Yeah,
I thought
yeah.
they go in the graveyard.
No. That's the one on interaction, I guess, between the two of them. You can't grab him with the Niv, but you are taking 4 to 5 cards theoretically out of your deck already anyway. So you're thinning it out pretty good. So, and then obviously the 4 lanterns and 2 vessels. I think All-Star card for quite a few games was a Tome of the Guild Pact. I know I missed it quite a bit. Round 1 and game 1. I hadn't played with the card a lot, and I kept forgetting that everything in here, except for this and then the artifacts, triggers the tome to draw an extra card. So
It's a cast trigger.
yeah, and it is cast. And it does add 1 mana of any color.
Yep.
So fairly relevant, I guess. Lands.
All right, my burning question for you on the lands.
Yeah.
What's more annoying, the MTG Arena auto tapper or actually playing this deck in real life and going, I need this for this, and then these, for this, and then okay, these ones are here, and then
They're both really annoying.
Okay.
Like, not gonna lie. I had a moment tonight where I didn't have a lantern, and I think I had.
I feel like Arena sometimes you end up with just this untapped by itself. And
Yeah, and it's okay.
Oh, no,
It's 1 mana of
okay,
any
okay,
color.
okay.
But there's a lot of times where if you have something in your hand, it taps like the Hallowed Fountain, and you don't have like an extra blue source, so it taps
Right.
it for the white when you have
like a
Temple
Sacred
Garden.
Foundry and a
Yeah.
Temple Garden. Yeah, okay.
So it's easier. I think it's easier in paper to think through it. Obviously, just easier to do on Arena with the auto tapper.
Right.
But you're also end up. I want to say not having the right lands available to you, and it is awkward at the beginning of the game. It's almost like
Yeah, that's
3
another thing
lands.
that I wanted to ask. Not just being a jerk like I normally am. Why didn't you run more of the hybrid split cards instead of the actual guild cards?
So this list isn't my card or my list.
Okay.
I'm actually playing Alian Trazi's list.
Okay.
So, kind of quick, I just went through and I was thinking about wanting to play Niv Mizzet. People have been talking about it and been reading some articles about him. And looked at a couple of different deck lists. And, you know, I'm a fan, watched his stream. So knew he had one out there. Kind of found the list and I thought this seems like it could be fun. Play it once, maybe change some things. I think one card like, what is it, Incubation? The hybrid Simic one could be very good in this deck to be able to find the Niv, because ultimately that's what you want to get to. As far as the rest of it, I'm the opposite side to some of the other Simic cards. There's the one that exiles a creature.
Okay.
This is pretty good because you don't have removal in every color.
Right.
So just giving you other options in case you do flip that card, giving you another piece of removal in that color. So
I feel like your land base is a little painful.
yeah, it is all shocks except
Yeah.
for the 2 gateway plazas.
Yeah, I think that maybe you should consider some check lands.
It's possible, and like I said, just playing the mana base that he had.
Yeah, I
you
think
tend
all
to say-
shocks is probably the best starting point for this deck.
Yeah, and there's probably some changes that would be made. There's a lot of blue and a lot of green. So Hinterland Harbors
Yeah, you would want to
seem
go
pretty good.
green checklands.
Yeah.
Looking at this mana base. I think.
So like it's okay. It's not horrible. You do tend to take like 4 to 6 damage off
Right.
of your mana base every game. I never feel bad about playing 2 shocks and then on turn 3 hitting a third one to cast their Chromatic Lantern though. I feel at that point, even against Burn, I believe I cast Chromatic Lantern on 3 by shocking it into play. Just going from 3 to 5 can sometimes help you out drastically.
Okay.
So, I mean, that's the main board. Sideboard's a little wonky. I guess is a
Go for it.
best word that's there.
Did you have any good cards from your sideboard? Anything that overperformed? Anything underperformed? Anything you didn't bring in?
A lot that I did not bring in.
Okay.
So, let's see. I didn't bring in any of this stuff. Brought in a couple of cards at the top.
Maybe you should read the card names.
Yeah, it's let's say like a Golgari Finebroker. Was supposed to be playing 4 Thieves, but I loaned some cards to
Loaned some
somebody
cards,
else.
okay.
So Finebroker would have been Thief. I just thought that it was a good inclusion. If the sideboard maybe get to a more mid-range battle, sideboard be able to buy back something that they did kill earlier in the game.
Okay.
I never put it in. One card I would have liked to play was Tolsimir, but I just never found the want really for it. I wanted to play the card just to be able to play with it. but it's okay. Under the God Eternals, I don't think I put the second copy in, just because it wasn't too relevant. I thought that one was okay.
Okay.
So, Unmoored Ego, interesting, because there's no Nexus decks at the store. So, and that's basically what it's there
Is there
for.
anyone playing Teferis?
There are, but the problem is they're playing both Teferis, and I only have one Unmoored Ego.
Yeah, that's fair.
So, if I had two in my sideboard, then I probably would have brought them in against like a Azorius Control or a Jeskai Control that I played tonight. I did not play the Captive Audience. That was supposed to be the fourth Thief of Sanity. I felt that Captive Audience could be really good if I managed to get to a later game or played a deck that kind of just stalled out a little bit.
Okay.
Never had the want. I felt that the main board package was pretty good. So I did play, I believe I brought in Oath of Kaya and a Dovin's Acuity I brought the Oath of Kaya in against Red. Give me the second Oath to be able to deal with that. And then if I did land a Planeswalker, obviously the additional life.
Lightning Helix traditionally is pretty good against Red.
Yep. So I did put the Acuity in, didn't get to play it, but I
Kind of the
I wasn't-
problem with 1,000 1-ups in your deck.
yeah, I didn't feel like it was bad. Like if I drew it, it would have been good, but
That's
it's
kind
just the way it
of
is.
one of the things that is strange about this deck to me is that there's not consistency. Like you have like archetypes of cards that you want. Like you have some spot removal, you have some wraths.
Yeah.
So like you're kind of hoping that your lands match up with the one you drew because you're trying to maximize your Niv Mizzet.
Yeah, when you look at the deck, and the sideboard too, especially, is it's a toolbox deck, but you don't have a key for the toolbox. I guess this is the best way to put it. You're
Got
basically
a really
just,
expensive key.
yeah, you're just smashing it and hoping that whatever comes out of it works for you. So I was playing the second Deafening Clarion. I did bring that in, just trying to get the extra board wipe against Red. So I played one Saheeli. I did bring that in against Azorius Control and hit Saheeli on 3, and I think I made a total of 6 tokens. I ended up losing, but they went Little Teferi, Big Teferi, Rao, and ended up with a couple of them. They ended up with a Rao emblem killing me like that. I never drew anything relevant, I guess. So, but I think Saheeli is really good, and that could also be an inclusion in the main deck itself.
Okay.
So,
yeah, I would like to see that.
it's just everything is a non-creature spell except for these. So,
Yeah.
and it does give you something on 3, so something that's a little bit lower in case you don't draw like your Lantern or your Teferi. So, there is another Teferi in the side. I never brought it in, and like I said, I was saying earlier that I almost wanted a third. I don't think it really needs to happen. The 2 is about perfect. So,
Okay.
One Bedevil, because it is 2 colors and it is removal for a Planeswalker, this deck has a very hard time
Yeah, just
dealing
the
with
one
Planeswalkers.
Angrath's Rampage.
Yeah, the one Rampage and then the one Casualties of War.
Yeah, 6 mana might not get you there.
Yeah, it is extremely hard to deal.
I played Angrath's Rampage tonight, and it was a winner for me. So
Yeah, and I don't think, like, Sacrifice an Artifact isn't really too relevant right now.
unless you're playing against the Tome of the Guild Pack deck.
Yeah, some random stuff that's out there, I guess. But the Sacrifice a Planeswalker,
Maybe an Immortal Sun if somebody was to bring that in against you.
Yeah,
Planeswalkers.
So, and then, of course, Thief of Sanities, which I only brought in against Azorius Control on the play in Game 2. Really would have liked to have had 4. Kind of get my curve down. And we are playing a lot of blue.
Right.
So then the other half of that is just having to find a black land, and there's quite a few that produce black. So having that on 3, I felt like it would have been a different game if I'd have had the 4 and drawn early enough to make a difference.
Okay.
And Two Dovin's Veto, because the card is just amazing. At that point, like,
Unless they have creatures.
yeah. But you're not bringing it in at that point, and that's why it's in the
That's true.
sideboard.
That's fair.
So it's a lot of stuff to do. And I gotta admit, there's a lot of thinking. So, like, a lot going on when you're playing the deck. I was shaking a little bit, and it just really nerves the simple fact that, like, when you cast Niv, you're also trying to, like, you're flipping cards and you're trying to count to the 10. And then remember what they're doing and what they have and what they've done. Remember what you have. And, you know, sometimes it doesn't matter because you just flip 3 cards and they're all different colors. You don't have to worry about it. Other times you flip, like, Enter the God Eternals and Thought Erasure. And maybe neither one of them is relevant. So figuring out which one may be relevant a turn or 2 down the road.
It's probably Enter God Eternals.
It was always Thought Erasure, actually. It always, at that point in time, it always ended up being that Teferi was on the board. So plus Teferi and Thought Erasure them in their draw step.
Oh, okay. That's an interaction I didn't think of.
So
I'm sorry.
it turns out Vendilion Click is an amazing card.
Yeah.
For those who play
That's a little
Eternal
better.
formats. So this interaction here works very well. I actually played against Esper Control. He started to get down low on cards and was able to actually Thought Erasure him twice in his draw step. First time hit a card that he'd drawn, which was good. The second time he revealed all lands and conceded. So, yeah, he didn't have a board presence at all at that point in time, and it was just I was going to take over the game. So, there you have it. I went 2-2. So, I guess keeping up with tradition, I got my pity pack. So,
Garrison with the pity packs.
Yeah, with the pity packs. I felt pretty good. I started off 2-0.
It's going to be a foil Ugin.
So, we'll just see here. I know nobody wants to really see
Commons.
the commons.
Tell us what your top draft pick is in the comments.
My tile, yeah.
No, not you. I don't want to know.
Yeah, you don't care what I
draft.
would do. I don't draft. So, I guess Emergent Stone and a Liliana's Triumph. Kazmina, which would be really good, I think, in this deck if
She was 2 colors.
she was 2 colors. Yeah, just giving you the more interaction, like with Teferi there. And a Massacre Girl.
And a foil.
So, no foil. No foil. So, but a zombie army.
I didn't call it you two. I'm sorry.
So, nope, no foil Ugin, no foil Karn. I don't even know what you said at that point. So,
It's a foil Ugin.
foil Ugin. Would be interested to see people's their thoughts about cards that could be included, because there's a lot. I mean, we are in Ravnica.
Yeah.
So there are a ton of guild cards out there, hybrid cards, and then just the doubles here. But just to see what people think could be good inclusions for the deck. I know people were playing around with Niv Mizzet, so maybe they've had something that's actually
Did you have
performed
fun?
a little bit better. I had a ton of fun.
All
Not
right.
gonna lie, and that's usually why I play the decks. I play FNM to have fun.
All right.
So
I think the biggest thing going forward, if you want to play this deck, is to try to even out how many cards are represented in each guild, so that you have a better chance of, on average, hitting, as many cards as you can off Niv Mizzet. Like, if you have 6 Dimir cards and 2 Celestia cards, you're probably not going to ever hit Celestia. But you will have to bin not bin, but put them on the bottom, a whole bunch of Dimir cards.
yeah.
So, I don't know what the correct number is, 2.5.
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure. There's 23, I guess, hittable cards with Niv.
So really, it should be about 2 per guild.
Yeah, and there's some that are a couple more. You're the Teferis with the Warrant Wardens.
Yeah, and I think you've got 4 Simic cards.
The 2 here, the 2 here. Yep. And then, there's 4. There's actually 4 Azorius cards. But there's, I believe...
Is there any Gruul?
I don't think there's any Gruul. I don't think I'm playing any Gruul. But I don't know what... And that's the other thing that comes to it
Collision Colossus might be.
Yeah, there's
good.
a lot of stuff that's out there. And it's making a replacement for one or the other. I think there's only the one... Oh, I guess there's 2 in Izzet colors. I will say I did cast the other Niv, Parent of Genius, some Parent of whatever he is.
Blue, red.
Yeah, the triple blue,
that
triple
one.
red. I did cast it. It's very, very awkward to cast it if you don't have the lantern.
Yeah.
But I cast it with Tome on the battlefield, and I had Teferi. So in their draw step, I Thought Erasured them and almost missed it. It was, the trigger from Niv plus the trigger from the Tome to draw 2 cards. And what's that? Draw 2, deal 2, scry or surveil 1 at the end. Plus they discard a relevant card. So the card could be good if you could figure out a way to reliably cast triple red,
The
triple
other
blue.
thing that I'll comment is that you don't have to build this with a whole bunch of one-ofs. You
No.
just have to build it with a whole bunch of guild cards.
Right.
So you could decide that, you know what, my 3 Rakdos cards should be Angrath's Rampage. And my 3 Orzhov cards should be like 2 Mortifies and a Wrath or
And I
something.
think a lot of it plays to if you're going to go play this at your local game store, what
You
the
wanna tweak it
meta
for what you think is there.
Yeah, I mean, if you're got a lot of aggro there, then some of the higher costed cards, like the RAL probably isn't going to be played a whole lot. You're just not going to hit to 5. You're not
Well, at that point, you
sacrificing a
need
whole
to
lot.
find like 2 and 3 mana guild colored cards that are removal spells.
Yeah, and
And that
Oath
can
of
be
Gaia.
tough. That can be tough with the mana base because you really have to reliably have those 2 colors on turn 2 or 3.
Right.
yeah, and it's
So then you have to tweak the mana base too.
so another thing is thinking about like you may just need like a second Deafening Clarion over the Time Wipe.
Well, I could actually see just 3 Deafening Clarions being your 3
Oh,
Boros
3
cards.
board wipes. Yeah.
All 3 of your Boros cards, and then just cut the Justice Strike.
Justice Strike, yeah.
That could go to the sideboard.
So it's definitely interesting. I don't know if there's other than the Angrath's Rampage, I don't believe there's a Rakdos card in the main board.
Yeah, just the Bedevil.
Yeah.
So the Bedevil and then the
So
Captive
you're
Audience that's
missing
playing
on
the
2
side.
guilds almost every time right off the bat there.
Yeah. So
And
I mean,
I think the reason there's a lot of 1 and 2 ofs in the deck is just because Ali was brewing still. It's not
Yeah.
necessarily a final version.
and I think what I got and grabbed was actually his initial iteration of the deck, which I like because I like playing a lot of different cards. So just having the versatility.
Yeah,
And
that's
then,
how you find out what's good. It's
Yeah,
just
and
play
playing-
lots of different things.
like, I don't think I've ever cast Niv and not drawn, or not put 3 or 4 cards into my hand. I think twice tonight I hit 5. So, and you,
But it might be that you can only ever hit 5.
you can,
You might not hit 10. Because you don't have enough represented by the guilds.
yeah, well, it's not going to happen.
It could.
Yeah.
If you have an even distribution, it absolutely could.
Yeah, I mean, I guess. I've only ever hit 5, so...
Yeah, but like you only have 1 ofs for multiple
I mean, if you're drawing
guilds.
3 on average,
Yeah.
you're doing really good. Because
Yeah.
you're getting a 6/6 flyer and draw 3
Yeah, and like I said, I mean,
for 5 mana. That's pretty strong if you can make it work.
Tome is interesting. You do get through your deck a lot
Would
faster.
you consider maybe cutting a Firemind's Vessel for another tome or anything like that? Or is it just 5 mana? Too much?
5 mana is a lot. It really is a lot.
If you consider something like a Gift of Paradise,
I haven't, but then again, Gift is also a single color.
right?
So I'd be interested if there was a multicolored card that did something similar. I can't think of anything that's currently in standard. I guess Flower Flourish.
I'm wondering if you
So-
tweak the mana base and run Nissa, and then when you're tapping your shocklands that are forests, you tap them for the other color and get a green.
Yeah, there's definitely things to play around with. I think Vivian could have been very interesting. She just costs 3, so being able to find some things, and she does help you get through your deck a little bit quicker if your plan is like Jace. So there are those things. So you kind of just taking the 1 card out is pretty good. So I also thought about the Little REL, Storm's Conduit, I believe.
Yeah.
Interesting because there's a lot of
Spells.
a lot of spells that can do things, and being able to double up sometimes was relevant because I had an Angrath's Rampage in my hand, facing down 2 creatures that
One was bad and one was the one you wanted to kill.
yes, exactly. So
I experienced that tonight too.
so there's those sorts of things like that could be an inclusion that could be really good, I think, for the deck. So also having the Scry, just sometimes you really need it to be anything but a land. There's also times where you really need it to be a land.
Yeah.
So I mean, it did good. I wouldn't mind playing it again.
Oh.
Yeah, I know. Saying a lot because I think I've played a different deck for the last 3 or 4 weeks in a row now. So
So why no Tezzeret in this deck? There's plenty of artifacts.
Why no Tezzeret in this deck? Just because those are the only artifacts.
I'm kidding. Just stop
But
now.
it turns out.
Yeah, we're brewing.
So.
He is Demir.
Yep. So, I guess I won't be here next week. So give people a bunch of time to think about possible cards, and maybe we can make some changes to it, and run it back, and then just get completely obliterated 04. Or maybe
I'm looking forward to
4-0.
that.
Yeah.
The second one's not happening.
Yeah, we'll see.
Seems wildly inconsistent to 4-0. But, maybe you'll hit your stride and just...
Crazier things have happened.
Yeah, you did 4-0 tonight, right? Oh, yeah.
Thanks for your deck tech, Garrison.
Yeah.
Thanks for watching, YouTube.